USC's 2026 recruiting class, almost done. Very close to perfect. But there are still 4 spots left. Where should Coach Riley and the rest of the staff focus their energies to fill it out?
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every day. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube, you can pick a platform, you can download this podcast, and this show is always going to be free, and this show is always going to appreciate your support. Taking into consideration the USC's 2025 class, where should USC concentrate its efforts to get to 35 commitments in 2026? The reason why I'm saying, keep in mind what USC did in 2025, what showed up in early for the spring as well as during the summer that's going to fill out the roster. Okay, that's an important part of this conversation. So Ethan Booby Feaster was number 31. He is the 31st commitment in USC's number 1 ranked class. He's also USC's 5th wide receiver in this cycle. Look, unless Chris Henry or someone of that caliber wants to flip before signing day, I think Dennis Simmons, Chad Savage, Lincoln Riley, I think they have plenty of toys to play with in that wide receiver room. So that's the focus of this segment. You know, what's missing? USC's done such a fantastic job recruiting for the 2026 cycle. They still have 4 spots left, though. Is there anywhere where they can enhance the class, make it number 1, A++? I'm going to let you guys figure it out. So wide receiver, I think they're done. What about quarterback? Look, my everydayers, you hear me say this all the time. The days of 2 quarterbacks committing in the same cycle to the same school, those days are gone. They're over. It's not going to happen anymore. So, quarterback, Jonas Williams is USC's quarterback for the class of 2026. Lincoln Riley is not looking for another quarterback in this cycle. Maybe a backup type of guy, a development project. But with 4 spots left, and there are no more walk-on positions anymore. Something else to take into consideration. This is where we're at with quarterback. Running back, USC's bringing in 2 in this class. Sean Alston, friend of the show. Deshaun Rideau, local stud. Oaks Christian. Hopefully I can get him on the show soon. And then you also brought in the JUCO transfer, Waymon Jordan, who just happened to lead the country in rushing last year at the JUCO level. In 2025, okay, you brought in Harry Dalton. He's an under-the-radar running back. A lot of people look at the stars and say, well, he's only a 3-star. I don't care. USC had to fight off Alabama to the bitter end to keep him in USC's class. And then you got Riley Wormley, another running back from the state of Texas, speedster. He's probably going to redshirt this year. Now, depending on whether or not Waymon Jordan returns in 2026, if he has a great season at USC, he might just take that and run to the NFL. But depending on what happens with Waymon Jordan in 2026, USC is going to have Brian Jackson, who was part of the 2024 class. You've got Dalton, I just mentioned, Riley Wormley, and then in this cycle, Rideau and Sean Alston. That's 5 running backs. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that the staff's done at running back for this cycle. Now, don't forget, Lincoln Riley loves the transfer portal. So if he feels he needs one more, that's probably where it's going to happen. So we can wait until December to see if they take another running back. But again, he wouldn't be available until 2026 regardless. I think Mark Bowman is going to be the only tight end this cycle. Getting the best one. Last year, in the 2025 class, Neela Tupou was a tight end. He's now an edge defensive end. So whatever happens with Walker Lyons, Joey Olsen, Walter Matthews, what they do this season, I guess it could change the situation, but I do not anticipate any other tight ends coming in this cycle. Mark Bowman is the dude. He's the big Lebowski, so to speak. As far as the offensive line conversation, talked a little bit about it on yesterday's episode of Locked on USC. If you missed it, go check it out. But USC is pushing hard right now for interior offensive lineman Brett Koleje from IMG Academy. If you get his commitment, he's going to be joining his high school teammate, Kenai Pepe, who is an offensive tackle. You got interior offensive lineman Isun Tafa. You have offensive tackle Vlad Diakonov. You've got interior offensive lineman Cannon Smith, offensive tackle Chase Dinas, friend of the show, and interior offensive lineman John Fafita. By the way, Eason has been on this on Locked on USC as well. That's 4 interior offensive linemen, 3 offensive tackles. 7 total in one class is a solid number. Now, yes, would another tackle balance the room if you're looking for 4 and 4 to get to 8? Sure. Right now, USC is looking at Brett Koleje, though. Reminding everybody, if you're saying, well, what if we get another tackle? In the 2025 cycle, USC brought in Elijah Vacona, Alex Payne, Aaron Dunn. Okay, so we're good. Those are on top of the other guys they brought in. So this is another, portal option in December, or maybe a late bloomer shows up. The senior season in high school, all of a sudden, out of the blue, look at that guy. Where'd he come from? USC can make an offer. You never know. Let's get to the other side of the ball quickly. The 2026 recruiting class could go down as one of the best in a long time. I don't want to say generational, but it could be the foundation of big things to come. So let's start up front. Tom Tapui, Luke Wafel, Samoti Katoana, Braden Jones, Jamian Winfield, Jake Johnson, Andrew Williams, Malik Brooks. That's 8 guys in this class. I could have slotted Sean Scott there too. He's an edge at modern day. I think he's going to end up at linebacker. Now, USC might be looking for one more. Who knows? Not sure. Could happen. And I'm talking about defensive line, not linebacker. Scott Schrader over there at wearesc.com. Right there. There you go. He's been on the show many a times. We'll have him on again. Our recruiting guru expert. He let everyone know over there on wearesc.com on Wednesday this week that Hutchinson City College defensive lineman DeMarcus Johnson, 6'8", you heard me right, 6'8", 285 pounds, is among the select few that USC might entertain this fall. They're not going to be doing a lot of official visits during the season. This guy might be getting one of them. He's a big guy. He's 6'8". Plays on the edge. He looks pretty athletic. He's not awkward for his size at all. And if it's possible, he actually might have longer arms than Eric Gentry. So you got that working for you. This is what he did last year in 2024. 10 games, 29 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 pass breakups, 1 block kick. It was an extra point, and a partridge in a pear tree. So he can make things happen. Depending on how the ruling this year goes from the NCAA, and I'm talking about junior college players, he's going to have at least 3 years to play 2, or he might even have 4 years of eligibility left. Again, we'll find out. Remember, that whole ruling that came out, that's how DeCarlos Nicholson was able to get an extra year at USC. Their quarterback, Diego Pavia, out there at Vanderbilt. We'll see if this rule continues to get extended. Regardless, USC does not need another defensive lineman. 2025, these guys showed up. Thanos, Jakeem Stewart, you might have heard of him, right? Floyd Boucard, who has great feet, who will be playing in the NFL on Sundays, and that is verbatim from Coach Eric Henderson. You've got Nilo Tupou, Cap Jacobson, I think is really underrated. He's going to be a player. Gus Cordova, who is just a workaholic. He showed up looking like a college player. And then another edge player from the state of Texas, Jaden Ramos. So if you're including Sean Scott into this conversation, that's 14, 15 in the last 2 cycles? It's a good number. At linebacker, this is where I could see the staff taking a peek at someone during the season. Talanoa Ely in 2026, Sean Scott, Taylor Johnson, who is really under the radar. He's going to explode this year. USC is going to have to do a lot to keep him. Maybe they won't. He might just be one of those kids who wants to stay home and play for USC. Let's hope so. But last year in the 2025 cycle, USC brought in Matai Tagoai, AJ Tuatele, and don't forget the transfer, Tamir Robinson from Penn State. So again, I would not be super upset if Rob Ryan wants one more in the room. That could be a position they scout during this senior season in high school. What about at safety? This comes up often. So you brought in Madden Reardon, friend of the show, Joshua Holland. He's listed as an athlete, but I think safety is going to be his spot. So that's it in 2026. However, in 2025, you brought in Stephen Miller. You brought in D. Reddick. Don't forget the transfers. Kennedy Urlacher from Notre Dame. He still has, 3 years of eligibility left? Bishop Fitzgerald, North Carolina State. He has 2 years of eligibility, including this one. I can see USC scouting another safety. I can see it. I'm not saying it's going to happen, not saying that's what they're focused on, but you never know. Finally, rounding up the roster here, cornerback. In 2026, USC brought in Brandon Lockhart for another show, Albert Hill, Peyton Dyer. That's only 3, but don't forget, RJ Sermons reclassified from 2026. He's now at USC 2025. So he joined Alex Graham, Preston Castro, Jason Johnson, he's a transfer from University of Central Florida. He still has 3 years of eligibility. That's 7 quarterbacks. 7 playing on the island. So, I don't know, maybe another portal guy? That's an option. So again, you've got 4 spots left. Here's how I see it breaking down. I see 1 going to the defensive line, talking about the JUCO prospect. I see 1 at safety, maybe 1 at cornerback. Plus, Breck Olajay is the guy on the offensive line that they're looking at. That's it. Who am I missing? What am I missing? Hit me up in the comments section. Let me know. You guys have been doing great with that lately. Keep it up. Love it. And if you are watching on YouTube, do not forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, it's free. Click that red subscribe button. It's going to continue to help the show grow. Smash that thumbs up. Your comments, they mean everything. And I don't want you to miss an episode. Click that bell notification button. You'll be covered. We're not that far away from the season. This is a place you're going to need to be. Yep. In 51 more days. That's it. USC, Missouri State. All right. So 2 more segments to go. We're going to talk about Lincoln Riley. He's getting a little bit of love from the sporting news. We can talk about his coaching ranking. And then NIL. Have the chickens come home to roost? Money's coming in. Money's going out. Other things are happening as well. Summer sports, they are in full swing. And whether you're all about baseball under the lights, maybe you like golfing. Who doesn't like golfing? I'm not very good, but whatever. You like watching soccer? They call that football as well. FanDuel is the best way to make every game so exciting. You're already following the action. So why not make the sports you watch a little bit more thrilling? Seriously, get into it. With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are, I don't know, maybe they're hanging out at the beach getting sunburned. It's easy to use. FanDuel, simple, quick, easy. It's fast to pay out and makes every regular season game feel like a must-watch event. Whether you're placing a same-game parlay, maybe you're watching your bet right into the ninth inning, whatever. FanDuel makes it feel like you're part of the game. If you're new to FanDuel, here's a perfect time to sign up. New customers, if you bet $5, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets. If that first $5 bet wins, that's simple. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. USC, Missouri State. I said it just a few seconds ago. They're going to be playing in 51 days. Oh my God, we are getting so close. I cannot wait. I also can't wait for Big Ten Media Days. Those are going to commence July 23rd. They go through July 25th. USC is on the 24th. I'll be in Vegas. I'll be there. So will every single Big Ten head coach. I know the coaches, well, they better not be paying attention. They don't pay attention to all the preseason polls and all that nonsense. Like I said, they shouldn't be. Should be focused on their team, focused on recruiting. Excuse me. Still, they like to, kind of check in with their peers, see where they're being ranked. They talk to their friends. I'm going to give you the sporting news. They listed their best to worst head coaches in the big conference. Number 1, you got Ryan Day. They consider him the second best coach nationally. Day is the best among the Big Ten coaches after winning a national title for the first time last season. He's also second in the nation behind Kirby Smart of Georgia. Ryan Day is 70-10 in his career at Ohio State. He's produced 24 NFL draft picks over the last 3 years. His only bugaboo currently is the 4 straight losses to Michigan. Ouch. Number 2, Dan Lanning. They consider him number 2 in the conference. He's 35-6 since he arrived from Georgia. They said, last year the Ducks were upset in the playoffs because they were the number 1 seed. They weren't upset. They were embarrassed. They were embarrassed like Bob Stoops used to have Oklahoma's teams get embarrassed in big games. I still love my Sooner everydayers. But anytime somebody's going to lob me a softball, I'm going to hit it. Sorry, got to do it. Love you guys. Number 3, they got James Franklin. They consider him the 8th best coach nationally. Look, James Franklin is getting better as a head coach. I mean, teams win 10 games every year, right? Let me remind everybody, wasn't that long ago, Clay Helton out-coached him in the Rose Bowl. That's all I'm going to say. Number 4, here we go, Lincoln Riley. And Sporting News actually considers him the 12th best head coach in the country. Riley is 81-24 in his career, but just 26-14 during his time at USC. He's still among the better Big Ten coaches and nationwide. However, the pressure is mounting to deliver in a big way out west. The first Big Ten season didn't go that well, I agree, which included losses to Maryland, Michigan, and Minnesota. Oh, here's a little footnote for you. Riley is 4-10 against ranked teams while at USC. Yeah, yikes. 4-10 is no bueno. Here's the thing. He's got time this season to make it happen like everyone anticipated when he left Oklahoma to come to USC. USC's not that far away. I know I can be critical at times, but I keep things fair and balanced. I've always said USC is not far away. Just need to make a tweak here, tweak there. We'll get into more of that later. Number 5, you got Indiana's Curt Cignetti. Look, let's just be honest. What they did last year is why he's on this list at number 5. We'll see if they can do it 2 years in a row. I think the last time they won double-digit games 2 years in a row was the year before I was born and the year I was born. That's how far back you got to go. I'm a Gen X dude, so do the math. Go check out when the last time Indiana went to the Rose Bowl. There's your answer. I was born that year. Number 6, this one's kind of interesting to me. I thought he'd be a little bit higher just because of his longevity. Kirk Ferentz, Iowa, considered the 19th best coach nationally. Number 7, Brett Bielema, Illinois. Bielema is just 28 and 22 at Illinois, but he's 125 and 80 overall as a head coach. And look, Illinois had their 10-win season last year. We're going to see if they can duplicate that again this season. Remember, USC, Game 5, pivotal game in Champaign, Illinois. And Illinois will be coming off their game against Indiana the week before that. So we'll see. Number 8, Luke Fickell, Wisconsin. Excuse me. That's interesting that he is, middle of a pack, I guess, isn't. Luke's his job security is kind of on the line. Right now, he's starting to show up on those hot seat lists. Number 9, PJ Fleck, Minnesota, who, by the way, just signed a contract extension. He should probably be sending a thank you card to USC. But PJ Fleck, number 9. Number 10, Sharon Moore, Michigan. Interesting. Dude's got he was part of a national championship squad. And his team did beat USC last year. In fact, Michigan beat USC, Ohio State, and Alabama last year. So it looks good on the resume. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he can get that team to look like they should be playing offense. Right now, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to be strong on defense. It's offense where they're going to have problems. Number 11, Matt Rule, Nebraska. Let me remind everybody, his previous 2 stops in college, Temple, Baylor. When he gets to his 3rd year, they win the conference. Guess what? Nebraska, Matt Rule, they're on their 3rd year anniversary. So we'll see what happens. Number 12, Jed Fish, Washington. All right. Jed Fish is actually a really good head coach. You saw what he did at Arizona. He's probably going to do that at Washington. Will he have the same type of success? I don't know. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Jed gets another head coaching job. Maybe the next stop is the NFL. Who knows? He's a good coach. Number 13, Greg Schiano, Rutgers, whatever. 14, Jonathan Smith, Michigan State. I think he's a really good coach, but it takes time for him to get his system in place. And again, Michigan State's going to be one of those programs every 3 to 4 years. They're going to be competing for the conference title. It's just not going to happen this year. He's in his 2nd year in East Lansing. Number 15, you got Mike Loxley at Maryland. Yep, their only conference win last year came against USC. I don't know how that happened. It did. I was there. It sucked. Number 16, Deshaun Foster, UCLA. So far, this is a little blurb. Foster's coached 1 season. So like Smith, it's too early to tell how he stacks up against other Big Ten coaches. UCLA had some positives last year, but nothing stellar. He gets Nico Iamaleava at quarterback this season, so that'll help and bring a lot of attention. After starting 1-5 in 2024, Foster led the Bruins to a 4-2 finish, so there's reason for optimism this fall. Number 17, David Braun at Northwestern. All I can say is good luck. See what you can do with that program. It's going to be a rough year for the Wildcats. And then number 18, Barry Odom, Purdue. He had that rough time at Missouri, but he did do well at UNLV. We'll see what he can do in West Lafayette. So I thought it was interesting. Lincoln Riley, considered the 4th best head coach in conference, despite on that downward trend right now, 8-5, 7-6. Lincoln Riley's going to jump up in this ranking if he can just get USC to the playoffs. Get us 9-10 wins, and all of a sudden, people are going, all right, there's USC. That's what we were anticipating. You get to the playoffs, everybody's going to be happy. All right. So one more segment. Next coming up, the NIL chickens. They've come home to roost. Yeah, they're laying some eggs. Not the good kind. As I said, the NIL chickens. Yep. They've come home to roost. You can hear them. You can feel them. You can smell it. Athletic departments all over the country. They're starting to lay off some non-essential staffers in the athletic departments. Have you ever wondered why there were so many associate ADs at a school? USC, I think, had like 5. I don't have the exact number, and I apologize, but they've always had your main AD. In this case, it'd be Jen Cohen, and she'd have, well, not just her, but you'd have like 4 or 5 underlings, and they'd have the associate AD on their door, on their nameplate. Ryan Karchi from the LA Times reported the other day that 6 people from USC's athletic department were just recently let go. I know a couple of them. It sucks. And it's hard to understand why it's happening. Well, it's not hard to understand, but you look at how schools are investing into their sports, into their athletic departments, specifically, infrastructure, coaching, salaries, revenue sharing. They're looking where they can pull money from, where they can pinch some pennies. Like I said, USC spent a lot of money recently on its infrastructure. You got the Bloom Football Performance Center. They've been adding staff left and right to the football department, whether it's a coach or the behind the scenes staffers who are really important, part of your recruiting department. So it's not just USC. But if you're in a college athletic department, and if you're one of those staff members and your job description isn't like vital, good chance you're checking your locker for a pink slip every day, or that message, that email, hey, I need to see you in my office. Like I said, this is not just a USC situation. This is from On3. With revenue sharing for college athletes now in effect, schools around the country are looking for ways to pinch pennies. That includes Michigan, which recently announced that it was facing a $27 million deficit for the 2025-2026 season, including $20 million in revenue sharing. Michigan revealed it will make cuts to its staff and hope to bring in additional revenue through outside events such as concerts. Former Ohio State coach Urban Meyer used the Wolverines as an example to show what kind of impact the House versus the NCAA settlement is having across the board. Quote, now you're starting to hear about private equity coming in. He talked about this on a recent episode of the Triple Option podcast. Quote, you're starting to hear about the student fees. There's a couple of schools out there that are getting ready to slam the students with a big bill. I can guarantee you the staffs are being challenged. The ADs are being challenged. Creativity is going to be the word of the day on how to raise revenue. One of the best brands and the biggest brands in college sports, the Wolverines, had a 10% cut in personnel and are expecting a $25 million loss of money on their budget at the end of the year. That, to me, red flags are all over the place on that one. End quote. What's next? I mean, you're talking about throwing concerts to generate revenue. You're going to start seeing, are we going to start seeing those advertising patches on the jerseys like you see in the NBA? I hate those things, by the way. I hate the NBA right now. And I'm starting to see some similarities here. The NBA is considered a players' league. They run the show. The NBA's popularity is diving. It's nosediving. It's dropping. And I hate it. I hate that college football is jumping the shark, just like the NBA. Because the longer this goes on, the worse it's going to get. You're just having the haves separating themselves from the have-nots. Schools are cutting sports, not just people. I think I mentioned this before one time. Washington State, they're gutting its track program. They're not cutting it completely, but they're gutting it. They are literally removing organs. Washington State is cutting all of their field events, such as all the jumping events, throwing events. They're even cutting some sprints and hurdles for future seasons. Quote, This change gives the WSU track and field program the best opportunity to remain competitive at the conference and national levels in distance events, in cross country, indoor track and field, and outdoor track and field. Meanwhile, if you're a high jumper, pole vaulter, long jumper, triple jumper, you're not going to be able to do that up in Pullman. Look, I am good with the players earning an income. Okay, I want to make sure everybody understands that. I'm not blaming the players, specifically football, to a lesser extent basketball. But look, I'm not the one. I'm not this student athlete who has to look at my classmate and, that classmate who might be losing out because so-and-so over here is killing the sport. They're just taking all the money away. So those are the things that are going on. Let's just remember, yeah, NIL is great. Yes, revenue sharing is great. Yes, USC is in a very advantageous place because of their location, because of the money they have behind them. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be some pitfalls. USC's already cutting staffers in the athletic department. At the same time, though, they're talking about adding a women's softball. They're adding a softball team. I'm also hearing there might be a men's soccer team. So they just built a new soccer stadium for the women's team. So again, money is being spent, yet they're trying to balance the budget, I guess. We're going to steal from Peter to pay Paul. And that means, Peter, you no longer have a job. Paul, you do. All right. There's another episode of Locked On USC in the books. Don't forget, when you're done watching this episode, jump on over there to the portal with Brian Smith. You can watch that on YouTube as well. And then when you're done with the Locked On Network, get on over there to wearesc.com. Got a lot of written content for you, a lot of good stuff. So I'll be back again tomorrow with another episode. It'll be my Friday rant. I got to find something to talk about. Until then, everyone, you know what to do. Oh, and by the way, if you are in the Phoenix area, I will be at the Yard House, Westgate Entertainment Center, July 10th from 6 p.m. to about 8.